What's in a name? Think about it. Then again, think about that wonderful era in which our next recipient, Fred Sharkey Gaudiosi, resided in. Stock car racing in New England in the 1950s, 60s, and into the early 70s was raw. In its infancy, car owners like Gaudiosi, who grew up and spent his entire life in Waterbury, Connecticut, had to be rugged individuals. Just about every part on their race cars, from the wheels up, was built by them. There were certainly few chassis builders back then, and only a few people who put together motors for a living. You learned your craft as you went along. If you caught on to something, it stayed within the confines of your garage. But let's go back to the name Sharkey. I thought about it. Where did it come from? Was it a tag name that Gaudiosi picked up because he had a biting personality? Did it come along because perhaps his car designing abilities were ahead of their time, which they definitely were? To get an answer, I called Sharkey's son, Skeeter, who's here today to be a part of this celebration. I was informed that the elder Gaudiosi was a boxer in his prime, that being the late 1920s and 30s. Growing up in and around the Great Depression wasn't easy, as we're all aware of. People put food on the table any way they could. Obviously, Sharkey's talents at boxing were soon put aside once he visited Avon's Cherry Park in 1947. He may have had his first encounter at a midget race, but he fell in love with stock cars. From his garage on East Aurora Avenue in Waterbury's West End, Sharkey Gaudiosi began a career in racing that lasted up into the 1970s. The list of drivers who drove those famous number 44 coupes, always painted pink, white, and black, ranged from Rico Montesi, Sharkey's first driver who tested his talents at Bridgeport's Candlelight Stadium, all the way up through and including Tommy Branch, Billy Greco, Bill Slater, Ron Narducci, Rini Charland, Gene Bergen, Harold Montaigne, Mo Guernsey, Ted Stack, and Ed Flemke Sr. Billy Greco emerged as an upcoming star in 1953, winning a seat in one of Sharkey's earlier cars over another soon-to-become well-known driver, Tony Mordino. Between them, Greco and Gaudiosi won championships at West Haven in 1953, 1954, and 1956, and picked up 3 championships also at Riverside Park. They constantly traveled to faraway places like the Pine Bowl in Snyder's Corners, New York, and to the Empire State Speedway a little farther up the road in Menands, New York, between Albany and Troy. Greco will tell you that Sharkey was a quiet person who kept to himself at the track. They spent countless hours together, and Billy even rented an apartment in Waterbury during the winter of '52 and '53 so that he could get close enough to watch those early cars being built. Sharkey's versatility was evident. He made a smooth transition from asphalt to dirt in the 1960s with drivers like Bergen, Narducci, Charland, and Montaigne, who won a track championship at the Lebanon Valley Speedway. The wins mounted up. They came at West Haven, Waterford, Plainville, Pine Bowl, Menands, Lebanon Valley, Fonda, Orange County, Riverside Park, and I'm sure countless other facilities that were cleared from the racing landscape years ago. Sharkey Gaudiosi died in 1976 at the all-too-young age of 63. His wife Evelyn, a constant companion, passed away in 2001. So many memories were left behind. It would be interesting, though, to see what a car owner like Gaudiosi would have thought about the New England racing scene today, where chassis and engine builders abound, where money flows into the sport like we all are living on Wall Street, and where the sport, sadly, has become way too homogenized. Unfortunately, we'll never know. But the legacy that Sharkey created lives on today. His grandson, Chad, won the 2005 Thompson Modified Championship and obviously has a great career ahead of him. It is with pride and honor that I induct posthumously into the New England Auto Racers Hall of Fame the late Fred Sharkey Gaudiosi, and if Skeeter would come up, his son, to receive the induction.
I just want to say thank you for coming, and everybody involved in this, and I appreciate everybody. Thank you very much. Sharkey Gaudiosi. Thank you.